This is an ABC podcast.
Grandstand Cricket, Australia versus India.
And he's bowled all over the shop.
Gets an outside the off stump. Oh, really brought it back points.
On your radio, ABC Sport Digital Radio, and on the ABC Listen app.
Grandstand at stumps after witnessing India score an historic victory over Australia. 7 for 329. Rishabh Pant has hit the winning runs with 18 balls to spare in the series. India wins by 3 wickets. They win the series 2-1. They retain the Border Gavaskar trophy. It has to be, if not India's greatest ever Test victory. Given all the circumstances of the injuries, it has to be right up there. No Indian team had ever won a series in Australia until 2 summers ago. And now they've repeated the dose in 2020-21, winning the series by 2-1. India was set 328 to win from 100 overs, and they resumed today on none for 4, and they lost Rohit Sharma early. Caught pain bowl Cummins 7. Went to lunch at 1 for 83. Then Shubman Gill, who batted superbly, was caught at slip by Smith off Nathan Lyon for 91. Ajinkya Rahane caught pain bowl Cummins for 24. Gill was superb, by the way. 146 deliveries, 8 fours and 2 sixes. As the Indians go to their supporters, waving their own Indian flag. And it's being held up by the star, Rishabh Pant. So Gill 91, Rahane caught pain bowl Cummins 24 at tee, 3 for 183, needing 145 of 37 overs, with Cheteshwar Pujara on 43 and Pant on 10. Pujara battled, he got hit everywhere, including the kitchen sink, before he fell LBW to Cummins for 56 from 211 deliveries and 7 fours, 4 for 228. Mayank Agarwal caught at cover by Matt Wade off Cummins for 9, 5 for 265. They headed into the last 15 overs, by the way, needing 69 to win. Then Washington Sundar looked like he might win at the 21-year-old. Before, with 10 runs required, he went the reverse sweep and was bowled by Nathan Lyon for 22. But he shared a 53-run partnership with Rishabh Pant, and 10 were required. Shardul Thakur, most likely player of the match, threw his wicket away, holding out to mid-wicket to Nathan Lyon off Hazelwood for 2. 7 for 325, and then Rishabh Pant, a boundary down the ground to win it. And Pant, who did not start this series as India's keeper, hasn't he made an impact? 97 in the second innings of the SCG draw, and a match-winning 89 not out of 138 deliveries, 9 fours and a 6. Navdeep Saini didn't face a ball, 29 extras, including 18 buys, 7 for 329. Mitchell Stark, 16 overs for 75. Josh Hazlewood, 22 overs, 5 maidens, 1 for 74. Pat Cummins, 24 overs, 10 maidens, 4 for 55. Cameron Green, 3 overs early and no more, 1 maiden, none for 10. Nathan Lyon sits at 399 test wickets, 31 overs, 7 maidens, 2 for 85. And Marnus Labuschagne, 1 over for 4. India wins the series 2-1. They win the test in the most thrilling fashion by 3 wickets. Former Australian captain Ian Chappell, what about that?
Well, that's one of the most well-deserved laps of honours I've ever seen. I reckon we always think you've seen everything in the game of cricket, but a couple of, the reverse sweep from Washington Sundar, you can't believe, with the game on toast at that point, you think. And what's more, Rishabh Pant at the other end put up one finger. I'm sure he was saying to him, just get a single.
Yes.
We don't have to do anything stupid, I think was what he was trying to get across. Well, he didn't get that message across. And then Thakur, who played so calmly in the first innings and played so well, played a ridiculous shot. But it was, it had everything, including a lot of comedy.
We came to the final day of the series, Chappelli, with everything in the balance. Deep down, I think Australia winning might have been the favourite. Draw, second favourite. India creating history and scoring 328 at the GABBA, which no team had come close to doing ever before. The highest ever run chase, 236 at the GABBA. Now it's 328.
And what about the tie? I mean, that actually came at the end there. That was an outside chance, but you know, Jim and I were talking about famous victories along the way during the day, and you know, the tie. We sort of talked about the tie at the GABBA, but I think I said, well, you can forget about the tie, but it, you know, it was in the equation in the last 5 or 6 overs. Absolutely amazing day.
What did you say about numbers 9, 10 and 11 for India, Stewie?
Well, they can't bat. Watching him, Natarajan, he's holding the wrong end. Like when he came out in the first innings. But the silly part is we just tried to hit him with the ball rather than bowl it at the stumps. And we just, India just exposed those three. And that was the bit I was looking at the whole day when I was watching the game, that, you know, if they can just get to those three, then I think it could happen quickly. The problem is they couldn't, and in fairness to Rishabh Pant, he just, once he got himself in, and look, he had some, you know, some brain explosions at different stages. It just didn't get him out, you know, and not to mention like the second last over where he tried to play this big enormous drive and it just went in a gap where there was no fielder for no apparent reason. But he rode his luck, and that said, when he got a chance and when he did play some nice cricket shots to different parts of the ground, and he took it, he basically turned the innings towards the end into a T20 game where he got it down, he needed a runner ball, and all of a sudden he went reverse sweep, cut shot, one slog sweep, and all of a sudden the game was gone.
Ian, I think yesterday you were talking about some of the best series you've seen, and I think you nominated the 60-61 tied Test series, Australia-West Indies, and the
2005 Ashes,
over in the UK.
Oh, you've got to throw this one in.
Where does it rank now?
Oh, it's got to. Well, there's your top three. Put them in whatever order you want, but this has been a. And I mean, you said it early in the day. This series deserves a clear day on the last day, not to be rain affected.
That's the other thing. Look, 48 hours ago, we're talking about 90% chance of rain ruining the final day. Last night, we looked at the forecast as we left here thinking, no, it's going to be ruined by rain on the last day. But we had a sun shower for about 10 minutes in the final session, and that was it. And we did get the day that we wanted, not the day that the Australian cricket team wanted. And we've got 40 minutes to unpack all of this. Some stations may leave us at the top of the hour, and others will stay with us. We'll take the presentation, we'll get reaction. I think Quentin and Duke Nannis will have an interview on the boundary rope as well. But how highly do you rate this Indian performance, Stewie, when you consider, and I feel like a bit of a broken record, but it needs highlighting that Virat Kohli left after one test, and many pundits thought because of that, even before the series started, even before India was bowled out for 36 on day 3 in Adelaide, that would mean a 3 or 4-0 win for Australia. Then they lose Mohammad Shami in that test with a broken arm. They didn't have Ravi Jadeja available for the first test. Then he missed the last test. Rohit Sharma not available till the third test. Ishant Sharma has been clearly their third best seamer in the last 18 months, didn't come. Umesh Yadav was injured in the Boxing Day test. So they didn't have any of them, and for this test they didn't have Ravi Ashwin, Jadeja, their best bowler, Jasprit Bumrah, and Bahuma Bahari was ruled out with a hamstring injury. It is extraordinary that they've won this series, or did we undersell their depth?
Well, I don't think we realised, Andrew, how much depth they actually had. And, you know, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, that the IPL is just unearthing cricketers, and in a population of not millions but billions, there are lots and lots of good cricketers that play, you know, they play Ranji Trophy, they're exposed to the biggest stage all the time, and they play in high pressure situations, which they have become used to. And we've said it and we keep saying it, they've got great resilience. But still, I still sit here now and never thought in a million years, with Virat Kohli going home and all the injuries and all the changes that you've just talked about, could they beat Australia at the Gabba, where Australia have this imposing record. That's the first test they've lost since
88.
And to one of the great teams of all time, that West Indian team.
That had Marshall and, you know, Ambrose and all those great players.
Greenwich and Haynes and Richards.
And they got dusted. Australia have been dusted by Mohammad Siraj, Navdeep Sahni, Natarajan, you know, and
Thakur,
Sundar, yeah, and a couple of guys we've never heard of batting in the top order. Shubman Gill, his third Test match, scored 90 and looked like a world beater. It's, Ian, you know, Ian said it there. It's in the three best series of all time. I was around, and I was in the series in 2005, and I lived, you know, part of it, and I was in England, and I saw just the hysteria. Well, I agree with you. This is right up there with that series.
I'll just say we've been having a lot of off-air discussion about man of the match.
Yeah.
It's gone to Rishabh Pant. Now, I voted for Shardul Thakur about half an hour ago. I have no qualms with that, because that innings has won them the game. And we can unpack so many other individual moments. Marnus Labuschagne's 100, Thakur's 7 wickets and 67. Hazelwood a fifer, Mohammad Siraj a fifer, Shubman Gill's 91, and Pujara's out-and-out courage.
This is a better win for India than their one here 2 years ago.
Yeah.
A better win. Well, they've beaten a stronger side, for starters,
with Smith
and with lesser equipment.
Unreal.
Well, supposedly lesser equipment.
Player of the series, Pat Cummins. I'm not sure anyone will disagree with that. 21 wickets at an average of 20.04. Ajinkya Rahane, the Indian captain, is about to speak, along with Rishabh Pant and also Tim Payne. Let's get to, I believe, Ishigua for the post-match presentation.
Rishabh Pant, congratulations to you. 89 not out.
Thank you so much.
It's been a tough couple of months for you. You missed the first Test match. 97 at the SCG. You nearly won it there, but you do it here at the GABBA. What does this mean to you?
I think this is one of the biggest thing in life right now. And I'm happy that all the support staff from the team and all the fans over here supported me a lot, even though I was not playing in the starting matches. But it's been a dream series. I can say that after not playing the first Test match, I've been practicing hard and everything pays off because we won the series.
3 for 167, 56 overs bowled. You came to the middle, and what was the plan? What was the thinking?
See, the team management always backs me and tell me that you are a match winner and you always have to go and win the match for the team. That's the only thing I keep on thinking every day, that I want to win matches for India, and I'm happy that I did it today.
And how was the pitch playing for you? You looked a lot more disciplined in terms of knowing which shots to play and when.
Yes, it was a fifth-day pitch and the ball was turning a bit, and I thought I have to be disciplined with my shot selection. And if you won the match, everything pays off well. I think everything went so well for us, so I'm happy now.
Incredible stuff, Rishabh. Congratulations once again. You can go and celebrate with your team.
Thank you so much.
Much deserved. A phenomenal performance from the Indian wicketkeeper. Can now welcome up the player of the series. Well, he will be disappointed. Pat Cummins, 21 wickets, an average of 20. Pat, you left it all out there today. Just how difficult is this to take?
Yeah, it's good hard day of Test cricket today. I thought, Rishabh and the whole Indian side played fantastically. Really took the game on and deserved the win.
How was the pitch playing for you today in terms of being able to take those wickets?
I would have liked the Cracks to play a few more tricks than they did, but it was a pretty good wicket. I felt like if you bowled well, you're in the game. If you're a little bit off, it was pretty easy to, free-flowing runs, so pretty good wicket.
Well, this will be disappointing for you and your team. Your efforts have been phenomenal throughout this series. Are you pleased with the way you went about things?
Yeah, not too bad. There's always, areas you look to at the end of the series. I thought, today and in Sydney, the game was there to win on day 5 and just didn't take enough wickets. But, overall, pretty happy.
Well, thanks very much for your time, Pat. Congratulations on the player of the series, and well done on your efforts throughout. You kept coming at India right the way throughout this Test match and throughout this Test series. Now to Tim Payne, the losing captain. A roller coaster Test series, a roller coaster Test match, plenty of emotion. What are you feeling right now?
Oh, absolutely disappointed, no doubt about that. We come here to win the test and win the series, and it's probably a little bit of a trend the whole series, to be honest. I think in the key moments, whether it was bat, ball, or in the field, we were found wanting and completely outplayed by a really disciplined, really tough Indian side who fully deserved this series win.
Will you look back in hindsight and think about how aggressive you were with the bat in your second innings, but also with the ball in India's first innings?
Oh, look, I think there's lots of things we can look back over the whole series and do better. There's no doubt about that. But look, what's done is done. We'll go through it, no doubt, as a group. But we've got to look forward now. We've got a big series coming up in South Africa. As I said, we've been outplayed by a better side in this series. But there's going to be some areas that we need to improve. There's no doubt about that.
What were the considerations for you when it came to yesterday? All eyes were on the declaration, but you hung out there. What was the key thing from your point of view in terms of how many runs you needed, how many overs you needed?
I think we got about what we wanted in the end, to be honest. We wanted to set a bit over 300. We obviously had to dangle a bit of a carrot because we need to win the test match to win the series. And, last night, we might have had 20 overs at them in some favourable conditions had it not rained. But as I said, I thought, again, India turned up today. Their batting group put their bodies on the line. They wore balls in the head, arm, chest, and just kept soldiering on. So, again, full credit to them.
A couple of moments for you, day 5 of a test match. You're having to captain, you're having to rotate your bowlers, figure out who the wicket takers are going to be. How hard is it to do your job behind the stumps in that situation?
Oh, it's part of the job, isn't it? You've got to try and get it all right. Sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. But again, I just want to give credit to India. I thought our bowlers today, again, threw everything at them, tried their absolute hearts out. Unfortunately, things didn't go our way. But as I said, I think India have outplayed us for the majority of the series and fully deserved to win the series.
Tim, all the best in the next series coming up. We believe it will be South Africa, but obviously there's still a lot to happen for that to go ahead. But well played to you and your team, and all the best with what comes next.
Thank you. Cheers.
Now time to welcome up the winning captain, Ajinkya Rahane. Ajinkya, you've been bruised, you've been battered, but what an unbelievable test match. You've shown incredible heart. What does this accomplishment mean to Team India and the people back home in India?
It really means a lot to us. I don't know how to describe this victory, but I'm really proud of all the boys. Shown character, attitude, especially after Adelaide Test match. We decided that we are going to fight really hard. We know Australia in Australia. They are a very dangerous team, and we just wanted to give our best, not to think about results. But yeah, as I said, that I don't know how to describe this victory. Really proud of each and every individual.
You came out with intent. Rishabh Pant spoke about wanting to play with intent. It seemed clear after the lunch interval that you wanted to go for the target. At what point was a run chase on for you today?
When I went in back, conversation between me and Pujara was, I mean, Puji to bat normal, but I wanted to play with an intent, and if we get close to the total, then we know Rishabh and Mayank can actually get the total for us. But I think it was all about intent after lunch. But credit to Pujara, the way he batted on this wicket, he was struggling initially, but the way he handled that pressure was magnificent. But again, Rishabh, Washington Sundar was really good in the end.
Ajinkya Rahane, the Indian captain. Some listeners are departing us now. Thank you. We'll continue with all the reaction on ABC Sport Digital and via the ABC Listen app until 7:30 Australian Eastern Daylight if you want to stay with the broadcast.
Contributed with the bat.
Absolutely. I mean, taking 20 wickets was the key. That's what we actually opted for 5 bowlers. We knew that if we want to win the test match and test series, I think 5 bowlers will be the key. Washington Sundar got that balance instead of Jadeja. Unfortunate that Jadeja got injured in the last test match. So Washington Sundar got that balance for us. But intention was clear to play five bowlers, and all credit to them. I mean, Siraj played 2 test matches, Saini won, Shardul Thakur won, Washington was his debut test match. So I think the way they handled the pressure and expressed themselves was really good.
And what about about that turnaround after Adelaide. 36 all out. You score 100 in the Boxing Day Test match, and it feels like a significant turnaround. Did that just give the team belief to take on this Australia side?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, after Adelaide Test match, we didn't discuss about anything, about what happened in Adelaide. We just wanted to play our game and play with good attitude, show good character on the field. And as I said, we were not thinking about the result. We just wanted to express ourselves as a team. And I think it was all about team effort. If you see, each and every individual contributed during this from Melbourne Test match, and that was the key moment for us. And I'm really happy for that.
Ajinkya, congratulations once again. You can go and fetch the trophy. 2-1 in this series. You've won it fair and square with some wonderful performances. We thank you and to the rest of Team India for your efforts on this tour, not just on the field, but off it as well.
Thank you. And also, I would like to thank our fans who actually came here and supported us. It really means a lot. And from Indian teams, we just want to give Nathan Lyon a signed jersey for his 100th Test match.
Well done.
Nathan.
Oh, they're making a presentation, giving Nathan Lyon a shirt for his 100th Test in a very nice gesture. And a handshake between Ajinkya Rahane and Nathan Lyon. All the Indian team members have signed that shirt to add to Nathan Lyon's memorabilia. His 100th Test, and a very nice gesture, and Nathan Lyon thanks the Indian team. India's won this by 3 wickets with 18 balls left in the Test to win the series 2-1, and Ajinkya Rahane lifts the Border Gavaskar trophy. Big broad smile on the skipper's face, and he calls over his teammates who all deserve a touch of this trophy. 20 players used in 4 Test matches. T. Natarajan is holding it up. What a moment for him. Mohammad Siraj, he's in there. India the chant. Shardul Thakur, you can't wipe the smile off his face. Pujara, who's somehow still standing. And the trophy is being held high by T. Natarajan. Isn't that brilliant? Washington Sundar, a smile that would light a room. Jasprit Bumrah next to him. He played his part for India, missing this Test with injury. Ian Chappell, these are quite emotive scenes, and it's just puts in context what they've had to do to get to this moment, to lift the trophy. It's a shame because of the COVID restrictions that Alan Border and Sunil Gavaskar can't present the trophy. But Ajinkya Rahane won't be thinking about that right now. Neither some of these younger players. Shubman Gill, what a tour he's had. He's currently got the trophy in his hands. Chappelli, the captain of Ajinkya Rahane. Virat Kohli captained the first Test. They were humiliated on that third day in Adelaide when they were rolled for 36. Rahane has the calmness about him, very different in personality to the great Virat Kohli. And he came to the crease in India's first innings in Melbourne at 2 for 61. They had rolled Australia for 195. No one had looked like getting 100 in the series, and he scored 112. What did that tell us about him, and what did you see in his captaincy? Because his record now is 5 Tests as captain, 4 wins and a draw.
Yeah, well, I had the good fortune to see his captaincy against Australia already in India, and I was very impressed with it. So I wasn't all that surprised about what he did in Melbourne, what he's done since, and I think that last little moment there just sums up Ajinkya Rahane. What did he do? Yeah, sure, he went and picked the trophy up, and straight away he gave it to T. Natarajan.
Yeah.
And there'll be a team photo that could be up in the BCCI rooms, wherever it is, and it won't have the captain with the trophy in his hands. It'll have a guy who was the net bowler playing on debut, who's right in the thick of things, holding the trophy up. And to me, that sums up Ajinkya Rahane as a captain, and that's why they have so much respect for him and they want to play for him.
Oh, I was actually looking exactly the same thing. Pujara went down the back. Rahane just stood in the back, and all the young guys celebrated. Natarajan, and it's not about them, and that's why they love Ajinkya Rahane. That's why when Pujara goes out and he's wearing them in the body and getting hit in the helmet, they're all running out because that's the respect they have. Not that they don't have respect for Virat Kohli, 'cause I'm sure they do. I'm sure they've got truckloads of it. But even Rohit Sharma, they just all let it all happen around them. And there'd be 35 to 40 Indian players and support staff and they're all celebrating, each and every one of them. He spoke. When you listen to Rahane speak, you sit there and you think, it's not about him, it's about Indian cricket, and you can't sit here and say anything but have the utmost respect for him.
Well, just watching him as he sat there as the runs ticked down for India, I mean, he was pretty calm looking. I mean, you compare him with Alan Border at the Adelaide Oval.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, and then, when Australia lost by 1 ball, he fired the ball into the dressing room floor. But, I mean, Alan was a cat on a hot tin roof while Australia were, ticking down the runs. But Rahane, he just sat there in the corner of their little viewing area there and just watched the game as though, well, another test match going on.
Just chatted away about what was going on. Were you one of those guys that, got nervous in a change room? You've got to sit in the same seat and stuff like that when the game got close? Did you do that, or...?
I tried... I always felt that as a captain, you had to keep your emotions even. If you got up too high or got down too low, they'd come with you because the players know. They know how if you show off your emotions, they know. And so I tried to keep as calm as possible. Tight games, apart from that Oval game that I talked about, I was sitting in the dressing room there, but I tried to remain calm. Now, what was going on in my guts was a lot different to what was showing on my face.
And I think that's Rahane.
Yeah, probably is.
T. Nataraja, by the way, still has the trophy. How good is that? Good luck getting it off him now.
Good on him. Well done.
He's going to have that, when you put the seatbelt on the plane, the trophy's going to be inside the seatbelt.
He's going to be on the plane cuddling the trophy.
Yeah.
Cheteshwar Pujara's going to be on the plane lying down on 2 seats on ice to heal his body. We're going to hear from the Australian coach Justin Langer with Quinton Hull and Dirk Nana shortly, and then I'm keen to get your reaction to what this series means for Australia, because let's face it, and I don't know that there's any of us, you guys, bled and put your heart and soul into wearing the baggy green cap, but I'm not sure any of us could not feel anything but delight for this Indian team, given everything and the way they've played, and away from home, it's just been quite magnificent. But the Australian team, red-hot favourites to win this series, and they haven't done it. They've been outplayed. The courage from this Indian side has been palpable, and as Rick Finlay tells me, in the last 2-day fives, so the SCG and also here, 10 wickets, but India 561 runs. Very keen to hear the thoughts of the Australian coach Justin Langer. Let's go to the Gabba. Quinton Hull and Dirk Nannis. It must be incredible scenes there. Over to you, Q.
Still an awful din here from the Indian supporters that have stuck around, and why not after one of the most memorable performances in the history of their proud Test team. Justin Langer, the Australian coach, is with us and can just hear us. We're leaning in here trying to be COVID safe because we've got so much noise around us. But Justin, thanks for your time. What's the emotion at the top of your mind?
Obviously, it's incredibly disappointing to lose a Test match like that. And there'll be a lot of really disappointed players in the change room, of course. That said, the bigger picture for me is Test cricket's alive and well. I mean, I can only imagine how many million people have been watching Test cricket. There's been so much talk for a long time about what's happening with Test cricket. I mean, it's just another great example of why we love it so much. We'll obviously be disappointed. India have been brilliant throughout. They deserve great credit. They're a very, very, very tough cricket team, and as disappointed we are, it's great to see Test cricket alive and well.
It'll take some sifting through, but on reflection of today, what were the things that didn't go right for Australia?
Look, I think we'll sift through the whole series, actually, because you think about, we won the first Test so well. It was an extraordinary second innings for India in Adelaide. And then Adelaide India just haven't gone away. I mean, they are tough. really tough. So credit to them, but we've got areas we need to get better at. It reminded me, Pants innings reminded me a bit about Ben Stokes and Headingley. So what can we get better at? Maybe how we approach left-handers who come and take it back at us. So that's one area we're looking. I thought young Gill played well. I think Pajara, he was the thorn in our side last series. He was again this series. So, yeah, it's been a tough series.
In hindsight, have you asked too much of your 4 frontline bowlers to try and take the wickets required in the 4 back-to-back tests?
Well, maybe. I mean, but you can look at it another way as well. I mean, I'm really proud of the fact that those 4 guys, they all stood up for the whole series, and would have been a brave man coming into this GABBA Test match and not select those 4 bowlers. I mean, would you have?
Well, it's not my job to do it, but would you have liked your time again?
Well, I would have done the same thing. What? Not tell me who you wouldn't have picked. Pat Cummins, Josh Hazlewood, Mitchell Stark or Nathan Lyon when the series is on the line. Which one wouldn't I have picked? I would have picked them every single day.
You've come up against an Indian side. They've lost all 4 tosses. You're basically playing against a B side. 2 players still existing that have played across the summer. What do you think that says about the depth of Indian cricket and the quality of this side?
I can't say it enough, Dirk. In India, there's 1.5 billion people. If you make the first 11, you are pretty damn good, right? You've got to be tough, you've got to be hard, you've got to come through a very hard system. So we could say some people say it's their second 11. My gosh, when you're 1.5 billion people all who love cricket like we're seeing here and see all around the world, I think we're going to give them a lot more credit than being their second 11. They deserve all the credit they get.
And likewise, what do you think that winning all 4 tosses, having this core group make it the most of the way through the summer? You know, what room is there for improvement in the Australian side? What does that mean where this Australian side's at?
Obviously, we've got a lot of room for improvement. We've got some superstar players, but we've got to keep... I mean, if we lose a series 2-1 to India... on our home turf, with all those things you just said, there's a lot of room for us to improve, mate, and that's, in one sense, that's exciting. It's very disappointing tonight. We're going to all be hurting tonight, don't worry, and probably when we reflect on the series, but we've got lots of areas. Our batting particularly, I think there's been at times where we've had opportunities to nail the series actually and nail Test match, and we haven't been able to do it. So we're going to get a lot tougher with that, a lot mentally tougher with that.
And where is that? Where do you think those key moments were lost?
Ultimately, our opening partnerships throughout the summer. You can imagine how passionate I am about opening partnerships in the top 3. Manus has done a good job at 3. Steve became good at the end at number 4. But we didn't nail our opening partnership. I think the highest opening partnership was 80 in this second innings. Our middle order, we've got a lot of starts. All the things that are so obvious. We've just got to find out reasons why it's happening.
Where is your next cricket?
Next cricketer?
Yeah, the Test side. When do you expect that next series to come off?
I'd expect it to be in South Africa, yeah. I mean...
But when?
In February, yeah. Well, you know, and there's going to be... I know people are working overtime behind the scenes. As India came out here, as we went to England, in the end of the day, it's keeping the show on the road. As I said, I can't tell you how proud I am that there's been the Test series like this in the middle of a COVID pandemic for India to come out. We're so thankful for India to come out and have this series. It's been a tough series, and I'd expect we'll have to do that, or what? Not have to. We will do the same for South African cricket.
Justin, thanks for your time. Australian cricket fans are going to be wondering how this series was lost. Is that the next debrief and discussion to have with Tim Payne and your fellow selectors?
Yeah, well, as all the fellow Australians will be thinking, we'll be thinking the same thing. Don't worry, I can't tell you how much this will hurt the 11 guys. I mean, and remember, there's been a lot of challenges this summer, and there's been a lot of mud thrown at our cricket team, and we'll stand up. And we'll, like we always do in Australian cricket, we'll learn from it and we'll get better.
Thanks for joining us.
No worries, thanks.
Justin Langer, the Australian coach, Quentin Hull and Dirk Nannes. Oh, finally our friends, the Indian fans, have just been escorted out of the ground. They've been making a din ever since the winning runs were scored. A lap of honour from the Indian team. Their supporters have stuck around to celebrate what will go down as one of their greatest moments in the history of Test cricket. And 1988, the West Indies were the last team to win here. Fortress GABBA has been breached in stunning circumstances.
I think those fans would quite happily have stayed here overnight. They were elated that they've ended up having to get booted out, and I think these Indian celebrations will go on for a long time. That is one of the more memorable experiences that not only Indian cricket, world cricket has seen. Oh, what an amazing series we have had. And Test cricket, I agree with Justin Langer, Test cricket is alive and well. What a stunning tribute to the game this series has been, and today has been. And that innings from Rishabh Pant to put them over the line earlier, Shubman Gill. I mean, these are young players who are standing up, young to the game, standing up and being the new progressive India without their normal captain, who's the front man, the alpha male at the front that demands success. Rishabh Pant was behind the scenes, just going about it quietly, and you've got these young guys stepping up. The future of Indian cricket is very bright.
There's absolutely no questioning the quality of Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood line. Cam Green's come in as the all-rounder into that bowling attack this series. But we saw in the Ashes in 2019 a very distinct selection approach to rotate a little horses for courses. Australia hasn't had to worry about changing its attack in this country over the last couple of years. Is this now a result that needs that issue to be re-evaluated?
No, I don't think so at all. The first, three tests, there was plenty of gap in between those test matches for any bowling attack to rest and recuperate. I think the only trouble that people can put their mind to is this gap that's before the last test and the negative stigma that came with that last day and not being able to bowl a side out. I absolutely agree. There was not a question that you would have used a different bowling attack to the one that they used and they went with all summer. If they're fit, they play. Moving on from that, after a couple of mediocre performances from Mitchell Stark, I just think that he gets a little bit lost in games like this and when trying to force the pace. We spoke to him this morning how he has sort of that one gear, bowling flat out all the time, being the aggressor. I just think that he needs to develop another part of his game where he can take the foot off maybe a fraction and bowl smarter. I think he can bowl a lot smarter in that middle period and not be that aggressor all the time. Sometimes you just have to take your medicine and go, you know what, this bouncer thing that sometimes works, today it's not working. They went with it far too much today and he got punished as a result.
It's extraordinary the number of players that India have used, 20 in all. You think of the injuries, you think of the captain going home, you think of the humiliation of Adelaide and all out 36, 1-0 down. History will look back on this as the unlosable series for Australia, and they've lost it. So, do we look in-house, or do we just, for the moment, celebrate the wonderful tenacity of what Ajinkya Rahane and his men have done?
Of course, when you lose a series, the tendency is to look and think, oh, you've got the wrong personnel. The core of the Australian team will not change. Whose position is up for grabs? Pukowski's fit, he plays. That solves your opening dilemma. You're right down to 4. Matthew Wade, trouble, sure. From 6 down is solid. The only person you can change is that number 5 spot with Matthew Wade. So, yes, I think that needs to be looked at, absolutely. But moving forward, you need a batting unit that's going to make runs when it counts and not make silly mistakes. Now, I don't know the answer to stopping batsmen making skill errors. You know, it's execution errors, not necessarily all the time playing silly shots. At times they're playing reasonable shots in their mind, but just the execution's off. And I think that we, from a commentary position, can be very harsh on batsmen, saying, oh, it's a terrible shot. But when you think about it and think about the thinking behind the shot and where their normal skills are, their good skills are and their high percentage skills are, I think sometimes we can be a little bit critical. But how do we fix the execution errors that they're making? That's the bigger question. I don't have the answer to that. And more importantly, I don't have the answer to that on flat Australian conditions. We didn't have raging seaming decks this summer. God help the Australian team if they go to England and have those sorts of troubles in England when the ball's moving. It's going to be a horrible time.
Thanks for your time during the test, Dirk. It was great to spend a lot of time in the box with you.
What a test to be involved in.
And what a series to be involved in. And the scenes, finally, the the stewards here have been able to usher those Indian fans out onto Vulture and Stanley Streets, I'm sure they will literally be singing in dancing. And Vulture Street and Stanley Street tonight at the Gabba after this extraordinary victory by India, getting home by 3 wickets with 3 overs to spare. India win the series 2-1 and take the Border Gavaskar Trophy back to their home country. And we'll tell stories about this 5 weeks or 6 weeks or so during this series, as long as they play cricket in India. Andrew.
Thank you very much, Quentin Hull. Thank you, Dirk Nannis. Ian Chappell, Stuart Clark, Andrew Moore with you here for another 10 minutes or so to wrap it up. Not only the test, which India has so brilliantly won by 3 wickets, scoring 7 for 329, winning with 3 overs to spare. And Rishabh Pant named player of the match for his match winning 89 not out off 138 deliveries, 9 fours and a 6. He took 10 runs off the last Josh Hazlewood over to end the madness after Washington Sundar had reverse swept Nathan Lyon and was bowled with 10 runs required, and then Shardul Thakur went for the big slog and was caught by Lyon at mid-wicket off Hazlewood, and Rishabh Pant said, enough. I've been here for a good part of the day. We're going to win it right now. Ian Chappell, the Australian team, the disruption they had, and it was relevant throughout the entire series, was the opening batsman, with Dave Warner missing the first 2 tests, Will Bukowski unavailable for the first 2 tests, and we had Joe Burns and Matty Wade. And it took until the second innings of this test for Australia to pass 50 as an opening combination for the second time in the series. That was the disruption. Bukowski didn't play here after such an impressive debut in Sydney. The rest, the only really other challenge was the number 5 spot, which Travis Head lost, and Cameron Green established himself at number 6. How do you reflect on Australia's series overall, and what may change if changes are needed heading to a 3-test series in South Africa?
Well, I think they're in pretty good shape, given the proviso that everybody's fit. So if you've got Warner and Bukowski opening, Labuschagne, Smith, then number 5's a hole that's got to be filled. Green, he's fine at number 6, and Green gives you some options as far as selection is concerned. Green, there's going to be times, and I don't know if they're allowing him to bowl enough at the moment to perform the role of third seamer, but he has the ability to do that. And there's going to be times when Australia's got to start looking for a wrist spinner. At the moment, Swepson's the man, so that opens up that option where Green bats at 6, and then you play 4 other bowlers, and 2 of them are quicks and 2 of them are spinners. So, I think Australia, given that when they get everything together, I think they're in pretty decent shape.
Stewie, what say you?
Look, it's a tough one. Very hard if you look outside this 11. Who else you could add? James Pattinson will, he's thereabouts. Yep. He got injured and fell off mowing his lawn or something like that. So keep him off the lawn mowing duties, and we'll have another one available. The spinning option, Ian mentioned, yes, if we had a wrist spinner, that'd be great. Swepson's there or thereabouts, or starting to find his way, but he's still a long way off being Nathan Lyon, who's got, let's be honest, he's almost got 400 Test wickets, and we talk about him in such glowing terms all the time. Why would we want to get rid of him? From a batting point of view, Marnus 3, Smith 4. If we're going to go with Green, and he looks like a player that's going to be around for time to come, well, we're just going to have to live a little bit with him, like we did with Mitchell Marsh for all those years. But he looks like he can bat, and whether he's allowed to bowl or not, I don't understand why he didn't bowl a lot in the second innings, other than maybe he was not allowed.
And Bukowski and Warner at the top?
Well, Warner definitely, and Bukowski, as long as he's fit, I think he showed enough in the one game he played to play. I think the bolter, I'm going to make this Tanveer Sangha, who bowls right arm leg spinners. He's an absolute bolter, but he's doing well in the BBL. Will they get him into the Shield team at some stage, which will be later in the year? It'll be before they go to South Africa, but that's the only option they've got to pick guys from. Where else can they find them? Unless they're going to go pick them out of club cricket, which they're not going to do.
Well, the other interesting thing is if this tour of South Africa goes ahead, you've got the Test squad heading there, and there's a separate T20 squad heading to New Zealand. So I wonder if young players like that, if they're not taken as an extended squad, and they'll have to take an extended squad for net bowling and everything else, like the Indians have endured, do we see those players get an opportunity in the 5 T20 games against New Zealand? Only about a minute and a half left. I think with what happened today, we need to end with the highlights because there were so many. One quick highlight of the series, Chappelli, for you.
India's resilience, you just can't go past it.
I'm going to go with Pujara's, his resilience today. He got hit more times than he hit the ball and found a way to just get through it.
If resilience is the key word for India, he had it tattooed all over himself. They look like red cricket balls on his body right now. But
I don't know if it's good batting or just stupidity, but whatever it is, he didn't get out.
Stewie, Chappelli, thank you very much. It's been great fun.
Yeah, it's been great fun, Andy.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you, Andrew, and everybody else. Enjoyed it.
Great to have you on ABC Grandstand Cricket, Ian, this summer. Can't believe it's over. Thank you to everyone here at this hub, and NEP put us up with all these amazing monitors and scoreboards and so on. To Chappelli and Stuart Clark, and to Kristen Beams, and to the voice of summer, Jimmy. It's been a delight to work alongside you, and you're been on fire again for this test match in the Australia A. We've had a lot of fun, and mate, it's a delight to work with you. And also to our off-air team here, Dennis Carnahan, Dash the DJ, Ronell Moa, who's now covered 2 tests, and they've been both incredible tests. Good job, Nelly, and to Fletcher Doherty and the digital team, thank you. And to the team at the GABBA, Quentin Hull, Dirk Nannis and Aussie Bob and Zane Bojack, to Jules and Aaron in the studio, to Alison Mitchell and Sunil Gavaskar, we've missed them the last 2 tests. Andrew Williamson has put so much together, and Matt Clinch, we've missed you, Clinchy, our executive producer. We haven't seen him for 2 tests, but still somehow on top. And thank you for listening. I'm Andrew Moore. This is how India created history.
Australia versus India on your radio, ABC Sport Digital Radio, and on the ABC Listen app.
So Cummins is in again. Sharma's edging in. He's caught by Payne. There's the wicket Australia want. Sharma is out. He's been brilliantly caught by Payne. Diving away to his right. A good keeper's catch in front of slip. And it's Pat Cummins, of course, who gets the breakthrough. India 1 for 80. Bowls out there now, and that is out. He's caught it slip, just as you forecast. He pitched it up. Shubman Gill played a loose shot, and he sneaked it to the left of Smith, who took the catch. Lyon gets a wicket at last. He's up to 398. Outside edge, clear, straightforward catch.
For Cummins bowling, and edge to keeper Payne, and Rahane is out. Cummins takes the wicket. It came back toward his chest. The bat was still there. It took the neck, and Australia has its 3rd wicket. It's the wicket of Captain Rahane for 24.
Cummins is coming in, and Pujara's forward, and he's beaten a pill for LBW. That's close. Out. He's given him out. He's going to review it, of course. Oh, it's hitting the top of the leg stump. Top of the leg stump, and Pujara is out. LBW. That's the wicket that Australia have been striving for hours.
Cummins runs past him, bowls to Agarwal, drives in the air, caught by Matthew Wade at cover. What else would you expect from this series?
Now we're back with the Washington Sundar Lion bowls, and he plays a reverse sweep. He's bowled. He's bowled. He tried to take that off his stumps. Hazelwood goes in. Tucker hits it in the air. Where's that one gone? To hand? Yes.
Oh, no.
He's out caught. He's hit a stinker on the onside. Lobbed a simple catch to Nathan Lyon. He was trying to flick that away for a boundary for the winning runs, and he's been caught. Hazelwood goes in, and he gets a full toss, and he drives it through mid-off. It's going down towards the boundary. It's going to go for 4. It's all over. India have won. India have won magnificently. You could say this is one of the greatest wins India have ever had in their test history. They've won by 3 wickets. They've chased down a score that's never been achieved on this ground, and they're out there hugging and carrying on with delight the whole of their squad, and there's a lot of people in their squad, and they're all bursting onto the ground. This has been a fabulous test match.
Grandstand Cricket, Australia versus India.
Hits it in the air, takes the catch, it's dead cover.
Walks across, and he's caught. What about that?
It's ballooning away towards short leg taken.
On your radio, ABC Sport Digital Radio, and on the ABC Listen app.
Well, India breached the GABBA Fortress GABBA. Australia hadn't been beaten there since 1988. India, a second-string India side almost, have done it, and with a record run chase on this ground as well. Sunil Gavaskar, you were calling the final moments of this match as well. First of all, as a former India player, as a great of the game, give us a sense of the enormity of this win and your own emotions that are attached to it.
Well, let me say I'm over the moon and still in orbit.
That's a pretty good start.
Because, like everybody said, that this is, the Australian fortress, cricketing fortress, that it hasn't been breached since 1988. I did say before the test started that there is always a first time. And because I had this confidence about this young team that they wanted to do something spectacular. A team which has been waiting for an opportunity. A lot of players are waiting for an opportunity, being part of the India A team, being part of the under-19 teams, and just waiting for that, little entry and the honor of wearing the India cap. And once they got it, like, for example, the Natarajans, the Washington Sundars, Shardul Thakur coming back into the team after 2 years, Mohammad Siraj also playing in the second or third test, and Shubman Gill. All these young players, when they got the opportunity, they wanted to show that they belong at the highest level. And therefore, I had that confidence that, yes, this Indian team can do something spectacular. And that's exactly what they did. And that's why, like I said, I'm over the moon and still in orbit.
It is spectacular. Is it also India's most famous test win, their greatest test win? Where would you rank it?
Well, I think those things, it's like when you have, different eras and you have players being called the greatest, when the past is forgotten because, the present is in front of us. I would like to think that this definitely is amongst the top Indian wins. In 1971, when we beat West Indies for the first time ever in a test match, and then because of that win, we won the series in the West Indies, and beating England, an England team which had just won the Ashes and which had just, returned to England. Those two wins were massive wins as well. And this one is a massive win as well, super massive win. So I would imagine that this would fit in those three, amongst those three wins.
Because a test match win to win the series 2-1 as well. Rishabh Pant led the way. He wasn't even in the first test match. He wasn't originally in India's first choice 11. He will be now going forwards, won't he?
Well, it'll be hard to take him out. It'll be hard to keep a Shubman Gill out. And I think that's exactly what India need to do. India need to now then look at people who are totally 100% committed to Indian cricket. That is the only way, because you do not want, people who are, for whatever reasons, are not fully committed to Indian cricket. This team over here, what we saw, was fully committed. And I think, therefore, somebody like a Rishabh Pant, somebody like a Shubman Gill, somebody like a Washington Sundar, I mean, you have to give them as many opportunities as they can, because with every opportunity, with every experience that they get with every opportunity, they're only going to get better.
This series win, also notable for the fact that Virat Kohli wasn't there by the end. He only featured in the first test match. It was the 36 all-out in Adelaide. Ajinkya Rahane has led the fight back. Will this be a conversation that will be had about the most suitable test captain for the India side?
I don't think so. I don't think that'll happen. I think the selection committee is probably meeting even as we speak to pick the teams for the matches against England. And they have to pick it earlier on. It was not picked that early, but because of the COVID situation, teams are now going to be picked well ahead. So they'll probably be the ones who will be taking the decision. It's not for me to say what they should be doing, because quite frankly, they get a truckload of money to do the job. And I'm not going to say anything, which will cause them to, think, whatever way they want to think. So it's something that they will have to look at. But I don't think this conversation will take place about changing the captain, at least not for now.
But what can you say about the way that Rahane did lead this side when he was asked to do so, under trying circumstances and the injuries that befell the team as well?
I think he was very relaxed. He's always been a relaxed person, a calm, cool, collected person. Sometimes, that coolness has allowed him to be run over in terms of when he was dropped, despite being the vice captain. He was dropped in the first two test matches in South Africa, the two test matches that India lost in 2017-18. And then when he came back for the third test match on a really dicey pitch, he was the one who held fort in both the innings, and India went on to win that match. So I think now it'll be, again, like we talked about how difficult it'll be to drop Rishabh Pant, how difficult it'll be to drop somebody like an Ajinkya Rahane as well. And because he looks like one of the boys. Clearly, from outside, you don't know what's happening inside the change room. But the boys around him seem to be a lot more relaxed. They seem to be, enjoying themselves. And the results were out there because they were out there playing a sport. At the end of the day, this is a game. This is a sport that young men want to play. And they were playing it, having great delight in playing it.
They won this test match against one of the best bowling attacks in the world, and on home soil in Australia are vaunted as one of, if not the best bowling attack in the world. Have they now been found wanting?
The Australian attack did really well. Pat Cummins, for example, was trying everything. Mitchell Starc was off colour apart from that first test in Adelaide where he got wickets. He just seemed to have lost the one that came back into the right-hander, and therefore was not even, did not even look dangerous. Even when he banged the ball in short, there were maybe a couple of overs where he looked dangerous. But otherwise, he wasn't at his best, and maybe that's the reason why the Australians were not able to finish the match in Sydney or win the match over here at GABBA. So I think maybe he needs a break, whatever, to recharge his batteries. But the Australian attack is a very, very good attack, and therefore to be able to thwart that attack and win is a real special victory.
What do you think gave India the belief that they could do it in this fourth test match, given the circumstances?
I think they needed a good start. And though Rohit fell early, the partnership between Shubman Gill and Pujara gave them that platform. So if the first three batsmen give you that platform, then the batsman coming down the order can look to up the ante, which is exactly what happened. Even Rahane, when he came into bat at number 4, he tried to up the ante, scored 24 of 22 deliveries, and then promoted Rishabh Pant at number 5 ahead of Mayank Agarwal. So I think that platform that Pujara and Shubman Gill gave was probably the reason why this happened.
And going to be tough for selectors, isn't it? Because when you look at the names who didn't play towards the end of this series, Kohli, Bumrah, Ashwin, Jadeja, Yadav, Shami, KL Rahul had gone home as well, Vihari, although, of course, a number of those players played vital roles in getting to this fourth test match position. Yeah,
some of them, obviously, because of injuries, will not be available for maybe the first couple of test matches. So most of the guys who won today will be able to carry on for the first 2 test matches. And how they do over there will mean that the seniors who are out know that their places, they will not be able to take the places for granted, and that there is competition for places. And when that happens, when you have competition for places, there's no room for complacency. And all the time you get more than 100% effort every time. And that's the best thing that can happen to any team.
And what of Australia? Where do you see them going from here? They've obviously got games against South Africa, but in terms of the impact that this series defeat could have on this team and the leadership duo, Langer and Payne, they will be feeling it very tough.
Yes, I'm sure they will be. And I did suggest at the end of the Sydney test about, Tim Payne's captaincy. People thought that it was because of what he was speaking from behind the stumps. It wasn't about that. I tried to explain that as far as the tactical awareness was concerned, I thought, and I could be wrong, that he didn't quite live up to what the tactical awareness should have been at that level. Some of the field placing, some of the bowling changes were not there. And I also gave the example of last year or 2 years ago in the Ashes series, when Ben Stokes and Jack Leach were allowed to score about 90 runs for the last wicket to win a game. So even over there, the bowling changes he made, the field placing, etc. But Australia retained the Ashes by winning 2 test matches. England won 2 test matches. So maybe people overlooked that. Maybe people in Australia are still overlooking the fact that as a captain, I'm talking about as a captain. I'm not talking about as a leader. There's a big difference when I'm talking about a captain and a leader. As a leader, he's been outstanding because what Australia went through 2 years ago and how he has helped, for the Australian cricket to bounce back. About that, there's no question. As a cricketing captain is what I'm saying. As a cricketing captain, maybe now is the time, or maybe not now, but maybe after the series in South Africa, is the time that they have to look at somebody who will be a little more tactically aware, who would be shrewd in planning for the opposition and making sure that Australia don't miss out on the opportunities like they missed at Headingley, at Sydney, and at the GABBA.
Sonny, it's been a real pleasure having you part of the ABC team across the summer. I know you will enjoy this Indian victory, and it's been wonderful to have you part of the team. So thank you for your company as well.
Well, I've enjoyed every moment. It's just a pity that we were down in the studio. I was really looking forward to be able to sit down with Jim Maxwell, with my good friend Ian Chappell, Dirk Nannes, and the others, and to do comment with you, of course, and do commentary. And it happened for the first couple of test matches, so you could say that 50% at least I managed to get what I want, because even as somebody who's played cricket for some time, you're always looking to learn, and then being as a commentator and a media person, you're trying to learn. And when you learn from somebody like a Maxwell and from a Chappell and even from Nannes and yourself, it can only add to your performance the next time around. So I'm delighted that I got the opportunity to work for ABC Radio. I'd like to thank the ABC Radio people who trusted me to do the job, and I'd like to wish the Australian public the very best, and God bless you all.
Very kind words, Sonny. We'll see you next time.
Sure.
Discover more great ABC podcasts, live radio and exclusives on the ABC Listen app.